they're open-ended questions. And if they don't make you go for a while, then I'll just have to think of some more. So I want to make sure that I have enough of them. But some of them are pretty long questions because, like some of your experiences as, defending the sacred, there's all kinds of different times.
Okay.
So you can go through those different times. So I think first about the values, then about some of the experiences, then about your background. What are some of the things that help develop you to be who you are, do what you do?
Okay.
And let's see, what else? Do you think of something I haven't thought of? We always end up with, like, how can people help? You know what I mean? That's got to be in there. So we want to spend enough time on that, and the other thing I think I like to stick in there is your visions for the future.
Okay.
Is that good?
Sure.
I bet you have some visions for the future. You have visions all the time. Are you kidding? You're always talking about your dreams and this and that. Yeah, so that's it. Actually, you don't need to write these questions, Richard, but I did write down some questions just because I'm in the habit of doing that. Usually, I think you've been on the show before. You've seen me.
No.
No? You haven't been? Really? Okay. Well, so a lot of times there'll be like a title or a topic, right? And then I write down like a handful of questions. And then they go up there with the live stream. And by the way, so what happens is there's a live stream that will go on now. Then, and it'll be on the Peace Center website. It'll be on the live streamed out of the Think Twice Radio website. And then, that's the other thing, is that I forgot to ask you to friend Richard. So, Richard, you can friend
Sure.
Kelly.
Sure thing.
Great. That would be great. Thanks. And then, so it'll go on our personal websites, on any other, not website, Facebook page. And whatever other Facebook pages, the Peace Center and Think Twice. And then it gets transferred, the video, onto our YouTube channel, and then the audio goes to WBNY and gets played as radio show.
Okay.
So that's a bunch of places it goes. So.
Kelly, does that look like your page?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll send you a friend request.
Those are my grandson's bellies.
Oh. Okay, it's sent.
Okay.
So then I guess you'll get it when you get it, because you have to accept the friend request and then you'll get the thing. Is that right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Right. So it doesn't need to be now. And in fact, I didn't even publicize watch this evening. People just see it, and we can publicize it. It publicizes itself, too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Facebook said they're ready if we're ready.
Okay. Very good. Thank you. Okay, so, I'm going to turn off my phone. And here we go. Okay.
Flip the silver switch. Is it at 59:59?
Yep.
The light is on?
Yes.
Put the clapper in front of your face. When you hit the clapper, you're on the air.
Welcome to Talking Peace with the Interfaith Peace Network. Being recorded here at Think Twice Radios in the home of the future, thanks to Richard Wicca, our excellent producer. Thanks, Richard. So I'm your host, Vicki Ross. I'm working with the Interfaith Peace Network as well as the Human Rights and Peace Education Chair for the Western New York Peace Center. And I'm very excited about our topic tonight and our guest tonight. So our topic is Defend the Sacred, and our guest is Kelly Maracle, who is MohawkSeneca and who is here in studio. Welcome, Kelly.
Yeah, we scannel.
Yeah, I should say you should be welcoming me, right? I've learned that from Agnes, is that you should be welcoming us, actually, it makes me think of when one day I said that to Agnes, and she said, well, we did that, and we'll never do that again. So the indigenous people and the indigenous wisdom is something that people are learning. I want to just start right off with saying that to acknowledge that we are on Seneca land, that all of this land was stolen from the Senecas over, time, quickly, some of it slowly, some of it quickly, over broken treaties, broken promises, and everything else. And that we are so thankful and grateful for the friendship that is offered, that is still often offered, and the opportunity to work with and learn from indigenous peoples. So thank you, Kelly.
You're welcome.
Thanks for coming on. Thanks for coming on. So I thought I'd like to start off with something about value. So our topic is Defend the Sacred, which is really so much about you from what I know of you. And I will just parenthetically say you were on the Peace Center board for 3 years, or you've been involved in all kinds of things on behalf of indigenous people, on behalf of anything. Some people might even remember your stellar performance in the Lonely Soldier monologue.
Oh my goodness, I forgot about that.
Oh, yes. Oh, you were the star. That was such a great production. I went to every one that we had. I think it was only 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they were so good. Oh, it was so wonderful. So, but anyway, so getting back to start off with, when you think of Defend the Sacred, which all those things I think are part of that, what are the values that you think of?
When growing up, I was always taught that we were caretakers.
Mm-hmm.
We are supposed to take care of Mother Earth, and we're supposed to take care of each other. So those are basically my core values. Because, we have to take care of Mother Earth because she can live without us, but we can't live without her. And as far as taking care of each other, if we don't take care of Mother Earth, she's not going to take care of us.
Right.
So again, that's about taking care of each other.
Right. And that thoughtfulness too for the elements. I think of the Ganoño, and how all of the elements are appreciated and acknowledged and appreciated and thanks given for so many different elements, and for the people, the people to start with, and then Mother Earth, and then all of the elements, is such a wonderful way of just reminding us that all of that is sacred, that all of the creation.
Because, everything's interconnected.
Right.
So if we don't take care of one, we wind up not taking care of them all.
Right.
So we have to look at everything and always be grateful.
Right.
Because if you're not, then you're going to lose it, and then humanity is gone.
Right. Well, I think that's one of the reasons why I've been so interested and attentive, I think, to trying to learn from indigenous peoples that thankfulness and that holistic attitude towards all of the elements, because I think it's an attitude, and it's in other religions or life ways as well, when that thankfulness and that consciousness of the sacred, that things are that the creation is sacred, and to have that reverence for each other, and for the earth.
I mean, indigenous is just not here in Canada and the U.S.
Right.
I mean, indigenous is all around the world.
Right.
So anybody that still works with Mother Earth knows that.
Mm-hmm.
It's the people that don't who have lost it.
Mm-hmm.
And you can tell because they've lost their way for the things that they're doing, their actions.
Right. I think we have a lot. And so many of us are so affected by so many of those things, so that we're embroiled in that world to a certain extent. I mean, I'm lucky, I'm blessed enough that I'm now able to drive a Prius, but it's still using gas,
Right.
and I'm still driving it, I still drove it here.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, so there's this way that we're embroiled in it, even if we want out of it, but we just have such a long way to go to really change some of the ways society's functioning. And
But that is changing.
right.
You
Sure.
know, so it didn't take long to change from being humans to being what we are now, which are just basically consumers. So hopefully the road back to being human won't take as long either.
Yes, I think we are running out of time, so we better move quick.
Well, we'll only move as fast as our slowest person.
Right, right.
So, but it is coming together. I mean, people are buying Priuses, solar panels are going up.
Right.
Old-fashioned windmills are starting to go up. People are changing their way of thought.
Right.
Even as far as jobs go, a lot of people are doing things that make them happy instead of killing themselves for $1.
Right.
Because I know money is important, but it is only paper.
Right. Right. No, you bring that up in a very, very good way. Well, let us just think. I want people to hear, some of the wonderful ways that you have been involved in this defending of the sacred, which is the way I like to think about it, because that's the way, that's what it is. That is what it is. So, so if you would just tell like some of these different campaigns or things that you've been working on, experiences that you've had.
Well, ever since I was little, I was always trying to do something to make it better. I remember the first time my father called me his favorite little tree hugger. I was like 7. I was in 2nd grade, but we were learning Earth Day was just starting. So I came home talking about that. And that's what my father said, "Oh, you're my favorite little tree hugger." And at that point, I didn't know what that meant. But it was just, to me, it was easy stuff.
Right.
Pollution, caring for the environment. That's just things that you have to do.
Right.
Because if we don't, again, the planet will survive without us. We can't without the planet.
No, right.
And that's just going to be probably, I'm just going to be saying that throughout the whole
Right,
thing, because
well-
it's so basic, I don't understand why people don't get it.
Right. Right. No, we have to.
But, I've been doing different things, like when they were trying to ban fracking, I was involved with that a lot. When Idle No More started, I was up in Ottawa, protesting and things. And
Wonderful.
my
Back-
grandson was also with me at that point. My grandson Jackson, he's now 15, and he's kind of slacked off. But when he was younger, it was just, he used to fill my heart. We were in Ottawa when they were starting with Idle No More, and we were waiting for our bus to come back. So there was just us two standing there in front of the Capitol building, and he still was waving his flag around, hollering, "Idle No More," all by himself. So that was, to me, that filled my heart.
Wow. Yes. Well, and the other thing, I can vouch for this, is, the teen years or whatever they are, because everything, it will not go. The things that we learned or the things that we felt as young kids, even if, the teen years are a little bit.
We drift a little bit.
Yeah. And try different things or, but those things are deep in us, those things. So he will definitely be a defender of the sacred, lifelong.
It was kind of funny because I didn't know we were going to do video. I thought it was just audio.
I should, another way I didn't
We
warn
just
you.
came back from Denny's, and they have the kids menu has paper where you can draw. And my grandson Vinny, who's now 6, drew a picture, drew some water, drew me standing by there. He told me it was me protecting the water.
Oh, wonderful! I
So,
wish you had that.
I
picture
know.
with you. Yeah.
That's why I said I didn't
should have
realize
warned
this.
you. Yeah, maybe we'll find a way. Oh, take a picture of it and put it on the Facebook page.
Okay.
Yeah, and add it to the discussion there. Yeah, I'd like to see that. Well, so I want to say, like, for instance, you went to Standing Rock. I remember you're going to Standing Rock and how committed you were. And, wasn't that 2016?
16.
Yeah. So it was right, actually, and you had just become I think you had just gone on the Peace Center board too. Roundabout
Ma-
that time.
yeah.
Because you've been off for a little bit,
Mhm.
and it's a 3-year term. So I want to say, yeah, I think
Yeah.
that's right around that time. So it was a lot of stuff happening. So that was how I'd already gotten to know you.
Right.
And then we were at Neck and Essex meetings that we still going to.
Goes to. Mhm.
But anyway, which started off as actually, well, I won't say it started. There was some of that going on a little before, but it just got a whole, what do I want to say?
The Standing Rock put
conflagration with that.
that
Standing
put that
Rock.
yeah
Right.
that put protesting pretty much on the map.
Right.
That at one point, I think the most they had at one time was 18,000 people at camp.
Just imagine. Wow.
It was packed.
Wow.
I mean, it was great, and there were people from everywhere there. I mean, Haudenosaunee people. We probably had the biggest presence there because we had our own camp within that camp.
Mhm.
Well, besides of course the Lakota, but
Right,
yeah,
sure.
and I mean, everybody was there. There were people from South America, all the Americas. There were people from Australia, New Zealand, Africa. I mean, just everywhere. Any country in the world, somebody was there from that country.
Wow.
It was really awesome. But I felt bad at one point. It was November, and it was already starting to get cold. And the Aztec people came in their traditional dress.
Oh, no.
Which, yeah,
right.
they don't wear a whole lot.
Right.
And we were already bundled. And we're used to this weather, so I felt kind of bad for them. But they
Right.
bundled up quickly.
Right. Good. Safety.
Yeah.
Yeah, and actually, I mean, I know there were there was brutal cold and brutal treatment.
yeah.
The brutal treatment. I mean, actually, I've been telling people I was just at another kind of an event, and where we were standing out with signs that had to do with some local nominee, let's say, or candidate, and I was telling people and reminding them that, we were talking about the traffic and being careful not to get in the way of the traffic. And that, in North Dakota, it is legal to hit somebody with your car when they're protesting. They made that into a law, isn't it?
No,
that's what
it's
I
in the
had heard.
south. It's in the southern state.
South Dakota, then. I'm sorry. Which
No,
one
it's
is
in
it
a southern state. And I knew which one it was right up until you asked me.
You know what? It's possible I could have gotten it mixed up because the other thing I know they did, and maybe I got that mixed up with this, is that the police also made it legal to use non-lethal weapons in drones.
Oh, yeah.
So maybe it was just that and not the thing about the hitting. Because I know some state
There is
made
a
it,
state-
but it might not have been that one.
And I want to, it's like Texas or Oklahoma.
If we had Jack
It's in that
Knack here,
area.
he would check it for us, but we won't check it. You at home, you can fact check it for us and let us know
Yeah,
which state it is.
There is a state though, yeah. It's
Yeah.
legal if you're in a street. They can run you down.
But the other piece is the piece about just how brutal the policing tactics were. That they were spraying in sub-zero temperature or something.
Oh, at Standing Rock?
They
Yeah.
were spraying water onto people.
Yeah, they were using the water cannons.
Water cannons.
They were using the percussion grenades. They were using rubber bullets. And not this particular time, but they had used dogs. That was, earlier than that. But yeah, they were doing that. And I got really upset because I had already been to Standing Rock several times and I hadn't seen it on the news. But when they did the water cannons, they had it on the Today Show. And what they did was showed the fires that were going on. And then they said that they used the water cannons to put out the fires because the people were starting fires. Well, that was a bit mixed up there in a sequence of events because they were shot with water cannons, and they started the fires to keep people warm so that they wouldn't get hypothermia.
Right.
But that's not how the news played it up.
Right. Right. Well, we're getting plenty of that. I was just talking, indirectly, I mean, I think that news reporting is really gotten to be a very, very shady deal.
Yes.
It's gone back into the dark ages maybe, or something like that, where there's just so much of untruths being put slanted, and there's not investigative journalism going on, or I mean, there's just lies being printed some of the time.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So anyway, so that's ridiculous. But I know I felt so badly that I missed Standing Rock when it was over. And it was so important because back to the Mississippi, right? The headwaters of the Mississippi affect the water, and back to water is life. Mini Wachoni, that water, is it 70% water?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're made of water.
We grow in water.
We will die. We will die without water. Try 2 days, 3 days without water. Are you still alive at the end of 3 days? I don't know. I think it's.
I think like tops is 4.
Yeah.
And I won't say just water, I'll say liquids, because there's
Right.
people out there that want to get very specific about, well, I don't drink water at all, I drink soda. Well, if you look in soda, there's water in there. So
Right.
you still are getting water, regardless if you drink coffee. You are still getting water.
Right. Right.
It's not the water that you should be drinking,
Right.
but, it's still water. So
Right.
when people like to get loud about that, I always just say no liquids then don't drink any liquids.
Right.
Try it.
No, that's what I really drink liquids to a fault. I mean, I have 2 liquids with me now, water and coffee. And, I mean, water is so important, so important. And so
Nothing can grow without it.
And so here's the water that they are risking that is directly above the indigenous people, the reservation there. And that's also going down for the water for millions of people that would be polluted by it.
Again, a lot of people will put it down to indigenous people being loud because it's going to affect the reservation. First of all, water flows.
Right.
It doesn't stay in one spot.
Right.
That water is going to go everywhere.
And especially in a river, where the river is just, that's the whole
It
business
still
of a
goes
river.
into the, it still goes,
And into the
it still
aquifer.
flows. It
Right,
still moves.
Right.
Regardless of how fast or, water travels.
Right.
What happens right here in Lake Erie eventually is going to affect China's water
Right.
because it moves.
Right.
It doesn't. I don't,
Right.
That's another thing too. To me, that's so easy. I don't understand why people don't realize water moves. Whatever you do in one spot of water is going to affect you sooner or later.
This is another thing that makes me think of things that Agnes has said is when, it used to be that people think, well, if there's some kind of pollution or, some kind of toxic or contamination or something, you just put water on it, some kind of dirt of any kind. You just put water on it and then it's all right. Well, not anymore, not with the kinds of pollutants that we're talking about. That's the thing. And so then they just go into the water, and then with polluted water, without potable water, we're back to square one again. We will not survive.
We're not going to. I mean, at the present rate that things are going, we're not going to.
So Standing Rock was this wonderful experience, from what you've said, from what everyone who went there said.
Yeah, it was, well, I went like 4 times. The first couple times I went, I had 2 of my grandsons. So I pretty much stayed at camp. I'm a massage therapist. So they had like a healing spot up there. They were doing herbalism, and all kinds of alternative healing methods. And so I would go and volunteer up there while I was there. But people in this area were very generous because I was loading up my van packed to where I couldn't even see out the back window or anything, full of clothing and food. And so I just termed my job as being a runner.
Mm-hmm.
I was delivering donations up there once a month.
Mm-hmm.
Again, my grandsons came the first 2 times, but then after that, that's when I was going out and doing actions with them.
Right.
I wasn't limited to camp. So,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
yeah, the weather up there, I didn't want to go up in December because I figured it was going to be too snowy. I'm not going. But that's when they had the veterans come.
Mm-hmm.
The veterans were all coming. And so when I heard that, I decided to go up
Right.
in December. And we did get caught in a wicked snowstorm.
Oh.
But yeah, it was really great to see all the vets there.
Well, I don't mean to be silly, but I think you have some experience as a vet.
Of what?
You have some experience as a vet because of the Lonely Soldier monologues.
Oh, okay.
Because
you really lost me there.
You played a veteran, and you did it so beautifully with so much heart. And you brought, I don't think there was a dry eye in the
According to my
place,
daughter, there wasn't.
Yeah, in the whole packed standing room and people squished in, so anyway, so I feel like that really, I've always thought that is if people are in a play, and especially if you do it well, it's because you really become that role. You have to really put yourself in it, so I think you do have some experience as a vet in that respect. But anyway, and so the other thing, another thing that you've been involved with is Stop Line 3, which is very current. And in fact,
yes.
I think we can, say a prayer for them right this very minute, as they are right now at the Capitol. And
right. They're occupying the Capitol.
Of Minnesota.
Yes, they're in St. Paul. I was sent video this morning of what they were doing yesterday, because yesterday they started setting up teepees in front of the Capitol building. The governor had ordered the government building closed to the public. They started blocking off streets. They started putting up the cement barriers. And I was nervous for my friends there, because who knows what they're going to do.
Right.
Last week they shot a woman with rubber bullets from one of the camps. And we were told, probably about 3 weeks ago now, that they were bringing in caseloads of rubber bullets and gas. So I don't know what they're afraid of. Any of our actions, all of our actions have not been violent. We go there with songs and prayer. So I don't know what they're afraid of. I think because...
The truth. They're afraid of the truth.
Well, I think because we have so much faith.
Mm-hmm.
They don't know what to do with that.
Right.
They know what to do if you're violent, but they don't know what to do if you're peaceful.
Right. Well, except the one thing I would just have to call it state-sponsored violence. So they do not want the pushback of any kind, and they especially, I like to call it a force more powerful. And it is a force more powerful. It is that love and devotion. It is that seeking for truth, because they're not telling the truth. They're not defending the sacred. Nobody could say that they are. Or if they do, they're just plain wrong, because that is not sacred. Making big profits. That is not sacred.
I don't think they know what that word means.
Right.
I truly don't.
Right. No, I'm sure they don't, and I'm sure it's not entering into their equation, because to them it's about property rights and law. Laws are just, meant to approximate justice, but often they don't. Right? So Hitler, everything he did was legal. So just because something is legal doesn't mean that it should be. Yeah, that it should be, because there are laws that are just unconscionable, and allowing the dregs of the fossil fuel industry to go in and have them make a new pipeline and leave a polluting, damaged, leaking pipeline there, and ignore that and put in a new one and do even more polluting, and all that downriver and all the aquifers, and also a foreign company is making a profit off of the dregs, the last dollars out of the fossil fuel industry, with the worst fossil fuel on the planet. Why? How? Why? It's just
Well,
crazy.
I mean, they weren't even supposed to be building a new pipeline.
Right.
They had permits to repair the old one.
Mm-hmm.
So most of the work that Enbridge is doing is totally illegal. They don't have most of the permits that are needed to go ahead and do what they're doing.
Right.
They're putting in a whole bunch of new pipe in 20 different places that they're crossing under the water.
And then
That's
they're
just crazy.
using huge amounts of water to do it.
Well, Enbridge paid the state of Minnesota $150 for 5 billion gallons of water.
That is a scandal. I have to write that down. Wait a minute.
And they are
Say it again. Say it
they're
again.
grabbing more
It was $150
for 5 billion gallons of water. And of course they took more than they paid for. I mean, go to the supermarket and try to buy 5 billion gallons of water.
Well, just try to buy 5.
You know,
And see,
that's
you know.
for 150. I mean, it's like $1 a gallon or $1.50 some places.
Right.
So that does not add up
Right.
to
No, to their billions that they should have
Yeah.
paid. The billions and billions that they should have paid.
And Minnesota is in the middle of a drought.
Right.
So they're already taking water from a place that doesn't even have enough water.
It's just criminal.
There's
honestly.
already been 5 frack outs there.
Mm.
I had seen footage from the first one right by the headwaters,
Mm-hmm.
and they were using push brooms to try to clean it up.
That's just ridiculous. Just ridiculous. Well, one thing I'd say when we're talking about, first of all, I want to say I am very proud and grateful that I did get to go with you to Minnesota one time, and with another group another time. Well, with Laura Seneca the other time. Well, she was on both trips, I think, as well. But anyway, so you've gone up a number of times, and this last time that was so, very compelling was to see the video of you and Winona LaDuke and the rest of the grandmothers that were you all literally grandmothers?
No.
No, okay.
No.
But anyway, it was all older women, right? All older women, which for the Haudenosaunee, speaking as an older woman, I've always thought that's very interesting, that the older women are really, the decision makers in a lot of ways. So there were the older women with Winona LaDuke, with our very own Kelly Maracle, and with it was 5 other people.
Yeah,
Right.
there were 7 of us all together.
Right.
There were 6 of us that actually went on the action.
Right. Oh, okay.
Flo, she was our media person,
Right.
and they took her first. They arrested her. They gave her no warning. Didn't even tell her she was going to be arrested.
Right.
They didn't tell her to leave, and she's media.
That is one of the dirty tricks that I want to say that it happened to me once, where I was the police liaison for a group, and I was the first person to be arrested. So it's a power play thing, because they knew, first of all, as the police liaison, I was not expected to get arrested, and it's like you're saying, flies in the face of all of the protocols that are the standard operating procedure, and I had all the contact info and everything for the people who were risking arrest. So that whole thing was such a botched job. And in the end, they were wrong, and they ended up all the arrests were thrown out of court.
Well, we'll see
Or
what happens.
dropped. So yeah, but that just shows how out of line they were. It's just when they start getting out of control. But anyway, and then you also, now they actually locked you up also, or no?
Yeah, there was
For
the
how
7
long?
of us got
Yeah,
arrested, and
right.
we were in jail for 2 days.
2 days. How does it compare to our jails around here? Do you know? Or do you think?
I have no idea. I've
No,
never
you
been in
haven't
jail
been around
before.
here. Oh, okay. I haven't either, although, I mean, there's some tough stuff that goes on, oftentimes in jail.
Well,
so
where
let's
we
just say.
were, actually, we were treated really well.
Oh, good.
Um,
That's good.
Yeah.
Glad. At least that. Thank God for that.
Yeah.
You know, it's still not a walk in the park, but yeah.
Well, it kind of was.
Yeah. Well, but they didn't let you walk in the park, though, did they? I mean,
Well, I mean,
They kept you
what they did
locked
though
up,
too
right?
was they had moved their work release program,
Mm-hmm.
and we took over their quarters. So all 7 of us got to stay together.
well, that's nice.
So I mean, that was a big thing right there because there were
Sure.
a couple of women that were, really out of sorts.
Sure.
I'm always a person that pretty much looks at things will work out the way they're supposed to.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't want to be in jail, but
Right.
I wasn't too worried about it.
No.
I'm still not all that worried about it.
Right, even though you have charges pending.
Yes, I have
And
charges
what are your
pending.
charges pending? That's another thing.
I have 2 gross trespassing
Uh-huh.
and 1 what it is it's a public safety obstruction of justice.
Oh, I think I know that one. Obstruction of governmental administration?
No,
Oh, not that one.
no.
Uh-huh.
It's both of them together, but I forget what the name of it is, and that's because it's a safety thing for the rest of the citizens that they had to be pulled away to come and get us. That's what it comes down to.
Well, I'm
If somebody needed the cops couldn't be there because they were busy coming to get us.
Well, that's where I'm surprised if it might be the same thing with a different name, but obstruction of governmental administration, which is a fairly serious charge, more serious than trespass usually.
I wouldn't think so because
No?
that's only if I get or if that goes through, the most I can do is 90 days. The
Oh.
other one is they're a year apiece.
Oh, well, then it's a whole different thing.
That's what I said.
Yeah,
That's
right.
not more
no,
serious.
You're right. It's not. No, then it's not.
Which they didn't have to pull any cops away anyway because at the top of the hill there was already. We only needed 2 cars for us. There was already over a dozen sheriff cars already sitting there.
Well, it's always, so many
So-
of the charges are usually BS. Well,
Yeah.
Let's start with the first part, which is they are trespassing,
Hmm.
right? Because it's indigenous land, because of the treaty, right?
Yes.
So they are the ones who are trespassing, and then I don't know what that other charge is. It sounds like, but anyway, it doesn't really compute because I know I'm comparing it to some of the arrests that we've had at Hancock Field over the drones, where they had obstruction of governmental administration did mean you're interfering with them doing their job, right? Like sort of effectively what you're saying, where you're not. But the maximum thing for that was, it was actually over a year.
Yeah. No,
So
this
that it
is 90
became a
days.
jury trial as opposed to a non-jury trial if it's less than, if it's only a violation versus a misdemeanor. I think that's right. Anyway. So those are your charges, and you have court on September 20th.
Yes.
Yeah, right. So I want to say it was really wonderful experience to go there when we went there. The 2 times I went there, both times. And it really is, it's really about defending the sacred. I mean,
It is. I mean,
Right.
that's the whole reason why the camps are there and why people are there is because, again, you cannot live without water.
right,
It's that simple.
right.
And that's why we go and that's why we're there.
And there are so many people who've taken really serious, especially a lot of the young people that I saw who have, padlocked themselves to machines and things like that just to slow them down. And we did some slowing them down, and I did not get arrested, and I wasn't ready to get arrested, but we did slow them down. In fact, at one place where we blocked the entrance before they started, we got there before they started. It was highly, quiet about where it was and how it was and everything. But then when we blocked it off, then they called off work for the day, and then the people just said, thank you for the, the workers were like, thanks for a paid day is off, So off they went. But I know it doesn't always go that way. We lucked out that time. But
Well, when we were chained together, sitting there in front of the sheriffs, some of the workers came down to look at us to see what we were doing and everything.
Sure.
And somebody had asked the workers, "Oh, are you local?" Because that's part of the whole big thing too. Oh, it's creating jobs.
Right.
And they weren't from Minnesota.
No, sure they weren't.
So there goes, a hole in that bucket because it's not local. I mean, it is a foreign company. The oil is not staying in the United States.
Right.
The oil doesn't even start there. They're just using the United States for their toilet because all the garbage is coming out in the United States, and that oil is going around the world. It's going across, the big waters. So what's the big draw to keeping pipelines here? Because, too, once they're done, which is not done by local people, then those jobs are gone.
Right.
So now you're stuck with cleaning up messes forever. I mean, that whole time we were fighting the DAPL, the Dakota Access Pipeline, it was working for a week and a half before it started leaking. A week and a half. And already, the oil's not even running, and it's already had 5 frac outs.
Right. Well, I love it when Winona said, when are we going to stop people from doing just plain stupid things? That they're just plain stupid. And it is just plain stupid. But you know what it is? It's just the money. The money will buy, as if life itself is for sale. It's ridiculous.
Well, to these people it is.
Right, right.
I mean, because they kill off people all the time as long as they can get their money. And again, that's what they're doing to us. They're killing us off. And I don't mean just indigenous people. I mean all people.
Right.
Because poison water will kill everybody.
Right.
And that's always a big thing that makes me wonder about people. They start off a lot of times on indigenous territory, but it doesn't stay there.
Right.
So if they think they're going to kill us off and then it'll be, just grab back the land, well, there's hardly going to be anybody to live on it because everybody's going to die off from sickness from poison water, which seeps into the land and creates poison land. Like I said, we were just at a restaurant, and I don't know if most people know, but a lot of the Mississippi cattlers are around that area, and their cows drink that water.
Right.
So that always reminds me of food shortages. And we were at a restaurant, and I wanted to order the pot roast. And she said there's a shortage on pot roast, and they haven't been able to get any in their restaurant for 2 months.
Really?
So, I mean, that's just the beginning of things.
Right. Well, there's so much. Honestly, it's back to the thing about running out of time. So we just have to have the political will and really force our, we need massive change. We need radical change, and especially as concerns energy. So when we think about, if we come closer to home, I was thinking about just when you were saying that. So, the example of West Valley where nuclear waste, so it's polluting Cattaraugus Creek for the indigenous people there on the Cattaraugus Reservation.
There's not one family that hasn't been touched by cancer there.
Right.
Not one family.
Right. But then also, it goes on down and it goes into the
Lake
Erie, and it goes to the shoreline there at Buffalo, and the water supply in Buffalo, and on down the Niagara. It goes spreading everywhere.
Yes.
And then the other thing is, and maybe you want to talk about this too, about NAPL. So the Northern Access Pipeline here, which is another pipeline that is threatening us.
Right.
threatening us here locally.
Yeah, because it's going to go through New York State. And again, that's not staying in the States. It's going to Canada. So that's going to go under the Niagara River. Or is it Lake Ontario? Still, it's
Or is
going
it
in.
both? Or is it both?
I
know
I'm
they have
thinking it's going.
I think it's under the Niagara River.
Well, because it's coming out too by Lewiston, so that would be like Lake Ontario.
Uh-huh.
But still, that's
But anyway, and then there's the
our
the
local
whole,
water again. You
right,
know.
right, and then there's our aquifer, because the whole pipeline that would be coming from Pennsylvania goes through all the rivers and streams and things.
I knew
and
the number of how
aquifer.
many it was going to go under
Yeah,
too.
it's quite a few. I know.
There is. It's a
There's-
lot.
Score is it like 60 or?
I can't remember, so I don't even want
remember.
to say
Yeah,
anything.
so let's not say anything. But
Sorry, Defendo Hio.
yes,
I don't
well, we
remember the
can-
number.
Well, first of all, I'm thinking one thing we haven't done is give people some websites for some of these things, so that first of all, even for Stop Line 3, just go to stopline3.org, and or especially go to honortheearth.org. So that is plenty of information about that whole situation. And also lots of other information about, hemp, powering the world, really. All kinds of revolutionary ways of using hemp for things that will be healthy and better for people than using a bunch of plastics. But anyway, because Winona is so creative and has some really exciting things going on. Not the dumb things that people keep doing. But anyway, and then for this, certainly the Niagara Sierra Club, I think it's niagarasierra.org, or if you Google Sierra Club, Sierra Niagara Club, it'll come up. And right on that front page, it has a whole thing on NAPL. Also, the Western New York Peace Center has some information on NAPL, too. But anyway, because those aquifers, the streams, the rivers and streams and aquifers will all also get polluted by leaking. And then they want to do a condenser, what is it?
The
In
condenser
Pendleton?
stations.
Yeah, in Pendleton.
Yeah.
So what does that mean? Is that dangerous?
They're all dangerous.
Right.
Yeah. I'm not very familiar with those.
Yeah, I don't know.
I know it's just part of it. And there are dangers with them. I can't get too specific about that because I'm not really familiar with that.
But the other piece is the methane, too, is leaking methane. So methane being 80 times more polluting than carbon dioxide, So it's really potent, and it's really a problem. So all the the ban on fracking that we have in New York State is just gone to naught if you go piping through, the Northern Access Pipeline.
Well,
and it was decided against by the Department of Environmental Conservation.
Well, they're going back
right?
and forth and back
Right.
and forth.
Right.
Again, it's all fighting for permits and then being denied, and the National Grid not getting their applications in on time for something, and then asking for extensions. And I mean, it's not, they don't even have the permits yet, and it's already been a fight for the last couple of years.
Shoot. Excuse me.
Yes.
Yeah, it's
And-
been going on, right?
Well,
for
that's
years.
what with Line 3. I mean, it's
Right.
been over 7 years that they've been
Right.
fighting that.
Right.
And now, Enbridge says that oil is going to be running by the end of this year. I'd hate to say it, but it probably is going to be, only because everything they're doing is illegal. They don't have permits for most of the stuff that they're doing, but the U.S. government is letting them.
Well, that's back to, the definition of fascism is when big business runs the government. So that is what I'd say is happening.
Well, that's been
you know.
happening for a long time.
Right. So if we think, I want to switch gears now a little bit to think about, well, both your visions for the future and what I think is very connected to that is how people can help. So, it's sort of like, well, back to Prius, and it is a used Prius, by the way. And just to say, used Priuses are getting cheaper, so people can afford them a little bit. And, those changes are happening, but it's still not easy. So that's where the political will comes. Well, there's all kinds of ways of helping. So when you think about, like, what's your vision for what we need, and then how can people help us get there?
Well, right now, the biggest thing is get to these camps. Get there and help them with actions and make your voice heard. And if you can't get there, write letters.
Sure.
I must talk about Keegan.
Sure.
She's my little friend that I made at the Shell River camp. She just turned 7 on the 16th.
Oh, wow.
But she was in camp, and she had one of those little plastic clipboard folder things, and it was full of paper, and she was carrying pencils, color pencils and writing pencils, and she stopped and talked with everybody that was at camp. And you either had to draw a picture or write a letter to Biden or Walt or both of them.
Wow.
And when she got home, she was going to mail them out.
Oh, my God.
So here she is at 6-year-old. And everybody did, I think probably because she was 6, right?
Right, sure.
But everybody did. Everybody drew a picture or they wrote letters.
Wow.
And when they were getting ready to send them out, her mother took a picture of all the envelopes that they were all addressed and stamped and everything, and they were getting ready to go to the post office with them.
Wow.
But at 6,
wow,
she's already doing it.
Wow. That is a big lesson for us. Right.
Absolutely.
That is so wonderful. And that is back to that starting early. And so this is another thing where it's so important to be talking with our children.
Yes.
With young people about these things. And also a lot of them already know about it. They're learning about it in school. They can't. And actually, I was thinking about it when you said about being a tree hugger. And I was thinking about how I wrote a thing when I was 8 years old, and it said that they put only 8 years old and she's concerned to keep Ossining pretty. Well, because I had written a letter to the editor about all the garbage, that people should pick up their litter.
Yes.
No littering, that it upset me about the littering, because just very normally, it's that care for creation really is just, it's the way it goes away is if we chop it away, if people are, it's trained out of people, that reverence for life, or reverence for the planet.
How many times have you seen a small child smell a flower? Pet a small animal?
Right.
We're born caring.
Right.
We just have to remember that and
Right.
continue it.
Right. Right. Well, there is a Stop Line 3. There's also Defund Line 3, which is about stopping Line 3 by getting the banks to stop. So I
Right.
know I just signed that, and I think I retweeted it or something out but I can share it again. But if you just Google Defund Line 3, it will come right up, I'm sure.
But there's all kinds of online petitions.
Sure. Yep. Online petitions, or also keep tweeting and Facebooking Joe Biden, POTUS, and Governor Walz about what they need to not do. And I would say, we have a new opportunity too now with the new governor for New York State, that Kathy Hochul may be more receptive. And actually, well, we'll see what happens. I'm trying not to talk about the mayoral election, so I won't do that. But I would just say change is good, because we need radical change, because we are facing really the fork in the road. And I know I keep saying that. It's like,
Because it's true.
right. And it's very immediate. It's so immediate. It's so wonderful to see the way that you've made it very, just in spite of, I would say you have lots of reasons that make it difficult. I'll just say that much, and yet you persist in every way, and you're so inspiring in the way you share it, you do it, you are preoccupied with it as well. We should be, and I think many of us are. So it's about what to do and how to do, too. So as you said, going to the camps, there's if people want to go to the camps, what would you suggest then?
I'm partial to Shell River.
Uh-huh.
I like that camp a lot. There's several different camps.
Uh-huh.
There's the Red Lake Treaty Camp and Firelight and Welcome Water Protectors, and I'm trying to think of all the other ones, White Earth. Yeah.
So that's
There's-
if people can go to Minnesota, and if they can't go to Minnesota, you can still help out in the other ways we said.
Calling,
petitions,
writing.
social media, calling, writing, and just generally call them every day.
And like even donating, you can go to
Right.
honortheearth.org and
Right.
and donate, and stophighplane3.org.
Right.
So, I mean, I hate to say throw money at it, but
Well,
if you can't do anything else,
That's also
there's
a
an
help.
option.
Sure, because that helps people keep the camps going, and
Well, it helped me get out of jail, so
right there you go. So that is big. So we're glad somebody gave enough that you were
yeah,
they were able to get you out. So and then here, of course, connecting up, the Western New York Peace Center has an environmental justice task force, which has been very involved, both about a good cleanup in West Valley, and there's all kinds of information about different things on that website, the Western New York Peace Center, and also Sierra Club, and also the Onondaga Protectors. That they don't have a website, they have a very active Facebook group, and they will at times, might be telling about things that people could do to help. So,
yeah.
yeah, and then just reducing our footprint. All that reduce, reuse, recycle. What's the fourth one? Wait, reduce, reuse, recycle,
I thought
restore.
That was, oh, okay.
Is it restore? I don't know. Anyway,
I don't know.
we just but the reduce is big too. Just don't, if you don't need it, you don't need it. Yeah.
Like we drink a lot of water at our house. We don't do the individual small water bottles. We get the 5-gallon
Right.
jugs, which it's a lot less plastic. Plus, they refill those. So
Right. Or if you can even afford getting a filter, different kinds. They have all different grades of how expensive they are to get a filter too. So anyway, I want to say, I do think it's so important. It's so vital. It's so inspiring to hear you, when you talk about it, and and it feels good. I want to say, like when I said my two trips to camp were wonderful, and one of them was when we had the canoeing.
yes,
Yeah, so
the
that
Mother's
was
Day paddle.
The Mother's Day paddle, right? So there's so many ways to help, and they're local, they're national, some of them are international, and we're all, it's, for people and the planet.
Yes, absolutely.
So if you have some final words for people, what would you be thinking that you'd like to share?
Well, people ask me a lot, why do I do that? And right now, for me, it's easy. I have grandkids. I would love for them to be able to have grandkids. That's not going to happen unless they have clean water. And that's for all of us. It's my final words.
Kelly, thanks. Yahweh. So this is Talking Peace, and together we've been talking peace in truth and love.
Okay.
Wow.
Now gotta get home to those goofy grandkids.
Yeah, well, you did do the whole show.
Yeah,
Which thank
well,
you. I told you I'd be
That's
pretty
well,
quick.
since too, I mean, there was just us. I thought maybe somebody else would be here. I didn't want to just leave you sitting here by yourself. So.
Right. Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah, because I could see that clock. Whatever.
Right. No, it's it's about. That's what I thought it might be. Anyway, but we got there. Well, thank you so much.
Sure.
Thank you so much. I know it was a great show, And that last bit, you moved me to tears, and it will move the people.
Well, that's my plan, get people
Right.
moving.
Right, we have to get moving. There's no time to lose.
There really isn't.
No, and I always think, I am haunted by